Okay, everyone, you are all very welcome to our Development Committee meeting here in Magherafelt, and unfortunately we're not virtually tonight. A few technical problems, but the meeting is going to be recorded and then uploaded later. So I'll move on to our first item then. Apologies. Any apologies this evening? No apologies. Okay. Item number 3 then, declarations of interest. If any members have declaration of interest, they can declare it now or as we go through the meeting. Councillor Malloy.
Chair, a number of items around Dungannon Enterprise Centre.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Malloy. Councillor Wilson.
The same with Cookstown Enterprise Centre and the Go Succeed programme.
Thank you for that, Councillor Wilson. Item number 4 then, Chair's business, and Councillor Clark has a few items of Chair's business he wants to raise. Councillor Clark.
Hello. Yeah. Thank you, Chair. Yeah, there's 3 items, but they're really all basically in the same area, which is the upper reaches of the Foyle system, Foyle River system, and it's to do with the part of the Foyle which is in Mid-Ulster. The source of the Foyle would be less than 5 miles from where we are tonight. So, anyway, the first is about Dava and the trees and the damage that has been done there. I had a number of contacts back and forward over the past period about nothing happening in, as a result, following on to the windstorms back in the winter. And a number of concerns about trees that have fallen there and actually in the river. So I did contact Forest Service about 3 weeks ago, and I had a phone call back on Monday, I think it was, from Kenny Atchison, apologising for not knowing the situation in Dava, and he actually had visited it, and he said that he was absolutely astounded about the situation that was in it. And he says, those trees should not be in that river. This river's an SAC, it's an ASSA, and it's also the source of the water that, where there's pearl mussels and, all that sort of, and it's the best river in Ireland for those. So anyway, he said that as soon as the machinery is out all over the place, but he says the next machine, which is free, will be coming to Dava. And that's the clearing of the river is one thing, but there's trees all down through the forest, and it is a disgrace because you see the way Drum Manor has been cleared up now. The trees have been cut and logged and set out, and I think a good luck on them away. And Enniscairn has been tidied up, and same. Forest, they hasn't cut one tree in it, in Dava. And we have the walks, and we have the mountain bike trails, and we have, it is an actual disgrace. So anyway, that's the first part of it. The second part of this here is in relation to the Owen Killia catchment, which is again on documentation that we found is relating to the very same area. It's the Rivers Trusts involved in it. Now, there was no contact made with anybody in our part of the world. We do believe there was a meeting held in Gortin at some stage, which is miles away. Someone was made contact and tried to, and actually I did get a contact, and other people might have got the same contact, but that has dropped. I don't know whether that person's there at all or not now, but nothing still has happened, and that's going on since summer last year. Now, there seems to be, apparently it's quite a substantial fund available, and what this is about, this is similar to the what happens on Balderry, where you have, assistance to farmers to improve the water quality by way of keeping stock out of rivers, by way of drinking troughs, by way of, but it's all about protecting the water quality. Now, there seems to be funds and all the rest of it, but nobody in Mid-Ulster has actually been involved at all. So somehow or other we're going to have to get those people into the room somewhere and see where we're going with it and what the way forward is. The third one is in relation to Ulster Wildlife. There's a project at the minute, I think I don't know whether it's ongoing or finished or whatever it is. It would have been in Fermanagh on the Black Bog, where they're clearing trees out of the, out of the Black Bog, the blanket bog, and it's Ulster Wildlife is doing it. Now, I got somebody contacted me way back pre-Christmas last year, and was to get in touch with me later on because they have a project to do in Mid-Ulster, in Kildreas, that upper end of that river as well, up in the end of the same catchment. Now, there's nobody's heard about it. We don't know what they're doing. We don't know whether they've left it over the head of the storm and went somewhere else, so whatever it is. But again, I think we need to get our hands on them and have a discussion with them, because that is a historical black bog you're talking there, because I have maps going way back 300 years where that is the black bog, but the foresters planted it and replanted it. And apparently there's some wood been taken out, whether it's all been taken out or enough wood or whatever, but I think we need to get those people into the room and see what they're doing and what they're going to do. Because all of this is, that whole catchment is so important. Like there's the archaeology, the geology, the ecology, all of that. And, there's all this talk about, funding and helping and all that, about doing something about it. But I can't see very much of it happening at the minute. Okay.
Okay, Councillor Clark, we'll take them 3 items and investigate for you and bring all back in due course. Thank you for that. Just in relation to
remember the place's name. Can I maybe come back to Ryan in the morning? But there is an area, it's like a walking park, very rural Ballygolly from memory. I think it's Tulnavern Road, and from the storm there has been a problem with the entrance or getting into it. So I'll confirm in the morning, Ryan, with the name of it, but it has been ongoing from Storm Ewan as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. And just in relation to Chair's business going forward this year, if anybody wants to put anything on Chair's business, can we have it 48 hours in advance, just in case they have to bring it to officers' attention or other members in case of something contentious. So, item number 5 then, we have a deputation from Mid-Ulster Volunteer Centre, and we have Rachel Jeffers, who's the chair, and we have the General Manager, Michelle McKeown. You're very welcome, ladies, and you're going to give us a presentation, and we'll take questions when you're finished.
Oh yeah, sorry, loudspeaker. Hi, my name is Michelle McKeown, so I'm the manager of Mid-Ulster Volunteer Centre, and Rachel Jeffers, our chair, has conveniently lost her voice, so it's up to me tonight to do the talking. So she's going to smile and keep me right on times. But thank you so much for inviting us along tonight to do this presentation. And I just want to highlight, I suppose, the Mid-Ulster Volunteer Centre and the work that we do. So, sorry, I'm just going to move to. So really what I want to do is just highlight who Mid-Ulster Volunteer Centre are and what we do to support local people and the local community and organisations. We were established in June 2000 and we were previously known as Cookstown and Magherafelt Volunteer Centre, but now known as Mid-Ulster Volunteer Centre. We're actually celebrating 25 years this month, which is a big milestone for us, and we are one of the founding members of Volunteer Centres NI. We have currently 7 members of staff and we're supported by 22 volunteers. So really what the aim of the Volunteer Centre is to provide a local presence in the Mid-Ulster area, because we believe we have the local expertise and know what volunteering required throughout Mid-Ulster, and we feel we're best placed for that. We very much use a person-centred approach, so it really is a one-to-one service where somebody who's interested in volunteering can come to us, and it is about matching them to the right organisation, the right role. So we work with the local organisations in developing those roles so that we can help maximise their impact and support their sustainability. We have various streams of funding, but our four main streams have been yourselves, Mid-Ulster District Council, through the Strategic Community Development Grant, which is vital to the running of our services in Cookstown. So we really do appreciate that funding, because our core funding does come from DSC, but over the years that has been cut to the point where we're relying more and more on other sources of funding to do the work that we do. We do have a service level agreement with the Northern Health and Social Care Trust to just provide the base, which is basically a drop-in centre for adults with learning disabilities in both Cookstown and Magherafelt, but I will tell you a wee bit more about that after. And we also have some community lottery funding, which is for our Forever Young project for those over 60, so it's a health and wellbeing programme. Okay, so I'll tell you a wee bit more about the volunteering side of things before it, first. So we register and place over 360 new volunteers every year throughout Mid-Ulster, and we support 290 organisations with volunteers. So we do support the management of volunteer recognition programmes and group recognition programmes, and we've currently 97 volunteer roles on our website, which we promote through our website, but we also have volunteer booklets so that post out to people, and we promote in our social media. And we support organisations such as Agewell, Magherafelt Youth Centre, RSPB, Volunteer Drivers for Rural Transport, Northern Ireland Ambulance Cancer Focus, Stroke Association, Forestry School Volunteer in Stewartstown, and those are just to name but a few. So if I'm talking too fast, please say. I realise I've only got 10 minutes, so I'm trying to cram as much in as possible. As we work along with schools and regional colleges, in fact, Barbara, who's our volunteer coordinator, is at St Mary's School tonight, attending their health information event. Careers advisors would come to us because obviously people maybe want volunteering to develop their skills. We would set up stands in jobs and benefits offices. We work with recruitment agencies such as Network Personnel, and we work with healthcare professionals who would refer people to ourselves for volunteering opportunities. So anybody can volunteer regardless of their ability, their age, and people volunteer, as you know, for many reasons, such as building on their CV just to gain experience, to build confidence, develop friendships. We have long-term regular commitment opportunities with one-off individual or group projects, and we can refer to international volunteering with seasonal opportunities, and we also have employer-supported volunteering. In fact, some of the groups we've worked with recently have been the National Trust, organisations who want to send their teams along, Lidl, the Home Office, Legal Island, CDE, Cookstown, and the Northern Health and Social Care Trust. And they've supported groups such as the Sunflower Support Group, Fort Riding Centre, Spring Hill, Listen, Hope Magherafelt, Inspire. So there's a variety of opportunities that we can, who really appreciate those opportunities of groups coming along to support what they do. Sorry, just move to the next slide. So part of our Volunteer Centre we developed the Volunteer Recognition Award, which is the EPIC Volunteer Awards. And it really is about recognising the contribution that volunteers make to our community. It is a free recognition and it's open to everybody of all ages. And we have the bronze, which is for 50 hours, the silver award, which is for 100 hours, and we have the gold award, which is for 200 hours. In fact, we've actually registered over 35,000 hours in the last 2.5 years, of those who are registered as fallen on EPIC. So that's not counting all those who volunteer and aren't registered with EPIC volunteer, and the volunteer award. And the St Pius School is registered with ourselves for their students, and Macmillan Cancer Care have also registered with ourselves for the EPIC Volunteer Award. We also provide the Volunteer Friendly Award, which is really a quality standard award for anybody who involves volunteering. It's for smaller groups who want to basically develop good standard or good practice and develop and demonstrate good standards of practice. So it really is volunteer focused and putting their management in place. Okay. So some of the support we offer organisations is the guidance is on volunteer management and recruitment. For instance, developing the volunteer roles, helping with policies and whatnot. The free organisation health checks, and that really is about making sure that the organisations have their policies and procedures in place in order to take on volunteers. We're an umbrella body for Access and I, so we carry out standard and enhanced checks. We offer multiple training opportunities such as safeguarding and first aid, committee skills, and Magherafelt, which are actually all happening now at the moment. Some of this training is free. It all depends on what funding we can get in place to deliver. We offer support for volunteer events, such as as Volunteer Recognition Awards, and we support national campaigns such as Volunteers Week, which was actually the first week in June. So it's just over. It's been a very busy month, but we would support that. And in fact, we actually had some input into your council's volunteer policy, which was just recently launched. And I see on your website you're offering a number of volunteer roles, which we can actually help promote and support. And it's very much volunteering is reflected very much through your community plan. So we do feel that as a volunteer centre, our role is very vital to local communities. We're part of the Volunteer Centres NI, which is essentially, as you can hopefully see from the map, we're 6 independent volunteer centres who are placed throughout Northern Ireland. And it really came about through COVID when we were feeling very isolated, and we came together to share our information, our skills and our knowledge and resources. So we work very much together. Even though we're independent, we work very closely together and supporting each other. So it is about building and connecting and sustaining volunteering throughout Northern Ireland. So we have, I'm not going to go through, I'm told time's against me here, so we have our Forever Young project and our base, which is the Health and Wellbeing Programme for over 60, so we have almost 200 registered with that. And we have more information about that programme in our pack. And we offer, like luncheon clubs for those who are socially isolated, crochet training and whatnot, chair exercises, community events, health wellbeing sessions, which we had cancer focus and carrying out health checks. And there is also volunteering opportunities within that. And we would receive referrals from GPs and social workers to that programme. The base, which is our drop-in centre for those with learning disabilities, and they run across Cookstown and Magherafelt, and we are currently supporting 60 service users in that service. And it is about them very much accessing their local community, being part of their local community and being included in their local community so that they can develop friendships. And we are very much focused on the needs of the service users, so everything that we do is based on what their requirements are and what they want, such as drama workshops. And we had actually a showcase in Bernavon there at the end of May, in which Councillor Eugene McConnell and Councillor Christy McFlynn attended. So hopefully they maybe tell you, they seem to really enjoy the event, so hopefully they can tell you more about it rather than me try and tell you here tonight. Our aim of our work as a volunteer centre is to make a positive impact on people's lives, to improve self-esteem, confidence and well-being, gain invaluable work experience, receive high-quality training and develop new skills, use existing skills and knowledge to benefit the local community, and prevention of the effects of loneliness and physical and mental health, which I think throughout the years and through research, volunteering is very much proven to help. We have our offices in Coke Crescent in Cookstown and in Queen Street in Magherafelt, which is inside, which is part of within Involve House. And obviously we've got our social media presence there, but we have packs for everybody. We've got over 40 packs for yourselves and obviously the rest of the councillors there, which we can either hand out now or just leave there for people to grab. But we really appreciate you giving us this opportunity tonight to come along and tell you a bit more about ourselves. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Michelle. I never thought you were as busy to see some of them stats there. Over 360 volunteers and 290 organisations. You know, it's brilliant opportunities for people, and as you say, building their confidence, building their self-esteem. I'm going to open up to members now for any questions, and I see Councillor Corey.
Okay, thank you, Chair, and thank you very much, Rachel and Michelle, for the presentation. And I've been lucky enough to call into Ian's a few times and attended the Volunteer Recognition Awards, which were fantastic. But I just wanted to ask, I remember before you were struggling to get volunteers because of COVID and people maybe being a bit reluctant to go out, especially older people. So I don't know if that's changed or what's happened there since.
Sorry, I wasn't sure if the mic was on. It's very much getting back to this normal. What was normal before COVID, it was a bit of a slow climb, and what we are finding is there's much more mental health issues, so there's a lot more need there. So it has been, it's probably a wee bit more difficult because of the needs of those who are wanting to volunteer, you know, finding the right placement and the right support for them. But certainly, having spoke with all the other volunteer centres, they're finding that volunteering is very much getting back to what it was before COVID. I hope that answers it. Thanks.
Okay, Councillor McLaren.
Thanks, Chair. Thank you for the presentation. You mentioned there about adults with learning disabilities. I want to know, does that include adults with complex needs and challenging behaviour? And I know most of your stuff seems to be based in Mid-Ulster and like Cookstown and Magherafelt. Any plans on coming towards Dungan Killeen?
Sorry. That service is run very much by the Northern Health and Social Care Trust, so it doesn't go beyond, you know, but that's not the, you know, the way. So I do think the Southern Trust are developing that service, but we are very much, that's the reason why it's in Cookstown and Magherafelt. It is obviously for adults with learning disabilities, but it's those who don't have any personal care, but it's a wide range of, they're quite independent. Some need a little bit of support, maybe crossing roads and whatnot, but they come and participate. We have, you know, those with autism that are there, those who have, you know, Down syndrome. The age range from 18 to 60. It just depends if the service suits their needs, and if it suits their needs, then we assess if that's the right. You know, once we get the referral, because we have to get the referral from the trust before they can attend the service, and then we assess to make sure that we can offer them the service that they and it's suited to them, basically.
Sorry. Just does that include, I suppose, complex needs and challenging behaviours a bit, it's the other end, if some of them maybe have medical needs, do you train your staff up then if there's people that need assistance with like delivery of medication and stuff like that as well then too?
The staff aren't, they aren't, oh sorry, staff aren't, if I picked up on that, staff aren't placed for medication. Obviously, you know, we would have service users there with diabetes and we would support them through it, but we don't give out medication, and we don't, you know, so it's just very much about supporting them to live independently in their communities and participate. You know, so for instance in Cookstown, they might go to, I know they love their pool, so they go, or they go to the leisure centre, and in Magherafelt very much participate in activities like walking and the leisure centre and going to cafes, to the point where when we're out with them, it's nice to see that the shop owners and those in the community, when they come in, they're greeting them by their first names. They know them and they're well known with it, you know, because they're very much part of that community now rather than being part of an adult centre. Okay.
Okay, and Councillor Burton.
Thank you, Chair. Just to commend you for the work, and thank you for the packs as well. I suppose as in another hat on, the Ulster in Bloom depends on volunteers to help do the work in villages and towns, and obviously you are involved with Agewell, and you know the work that they do for the senior citizens and for people who are vulnerable and maybe living in rural areas or whatever. You know, Marie would tell us that the volunteers play a big role in actually delivering the work that and the phone calls that go out to the people daily. So I'm just wondering if there's anything more that we as a council could promote for you as the volunteer centre. And on the back of what Nuala had said there, you know, sometimes I do think there, and I'm in the Southern Trust where my area is, and sometimes I do really feel that the Northern Trust seems to be a way ahead. I know where Agewell was concerned, they really got the work, whereas it took the Southern Trust a wee bit more longer to get, I suppose probably because back in the day it was Armagh and Dungannon, where it's way, you know, our area comes right to Magherafelt now. So, but obviously anything that we can do to try and ensure that, you know, the people that do volunteer, even at the minute I'm chair of the council, so even to recognise people in that, I'd really like to support anything that you are doing to recognise them and, you know, to really encourage volunteering, because obviously I think a lot of the times there is people out there who never get any recognition for anything they do, and yet they're working at the cold face of it. And a lot of community groups, it's usually one or two people that's the main drive in any rural area, and if they weren't there, then a lot of the times there is nothing really happening. So just to say, I commend you in the work that you're working in, and whatever support, or if there's something you think we as a council should do or could do better, then please keep in touch with us. Thank you.
Thank you. I suppose that in some ways that's why EPIC Volunteer Recognition Awards came about, was about making sure that those who are very much involved in their communities do get the recognition. So it would be, you know, working with yourselves and even supporting getting groups, you know that recognition. Also, we've actually had some of our events and activities promoted in your community news and whatnot, which was great for us because we're always trying to reach. We work very much with local groups, small community groups and whatnot, but it's getting that out there of what all we do and what we can offer as a service. I know Barbara works very hard, who I suppose she's all, as we call Barbara's all things volunteering. So anything that we do, we work very much as a team and try and develop ways of making sure we reach the wider community and getting the recognition and support that they need. So if any groups do need the support, you can refer them to us, and we can help them through, you know, XS&I checks. We can help them through their policies and procedures to make sure that they're, you know, that they're, I suppose, best placed, or not best placed is the right word, but have their everything in order to support the volunteers that are there. And so yeah, we're probably, as I always joke, we're jack of all trades, master of none. But you know, when you're very much involved in the community sector, you're involved in everything, and you I suppose. Community groups come and we get asked all kinds of random questions. In fact, we had somebody last week saying, you know, I'm probably asking a stupid question, but nothing's a stupid question because everything's a valid question, and we're there to help as best as. So, and people can just come and knock on our door and come in. So it is an open door policy. It's not just a case of. But I would obviously advise maybe give a wee phone call first, just in case we're out at an event or doing different things. But we're very much there to support those in the local community. So thanks. No, you're okay.
And Councillor Wilson.
Thanks very much for your presentation. And as you know, the late councillor here, George Shields, was heavily involved and instrumental in setting up the volunteer centre, and I know that he'd be absolutely delighted with the continued work that's going on there. So I just wish you well that, and keep it going for his sake, if nothing else. Thank you.
Okay, if any other members want to make any comments? Happy enough. Okay, Michelle and Rachel, thanks very much for coming along this evening. You have enlightened us, and we all know volunteers are the backbone of all communities, sporting groups, they can't survive without them. So keep up the good work and thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And this is the pack there for anybody who wants to grab one. And up for all the councillors.
But make sure they get them. Okay. Okay then, we're on to matters for decision, and item number 6 is the community vintage tractor, Draperstown, and Sean Galvin's taking this in place of Kieran Gordon, who gives his apologies this evening.
Thank you, Chair, elected members, other council staff. This report is in relation to the community vintage tractor in Draperstown. The purpose of it was to seek council authorisation for the installation of a community vintage tractor at the Planton in Draperstown to be acquired by Draperstown Workspace Community Group in collaboration with local schools. The bulk of this report is in sections 2 through to 4, so I'm just going to go straight through the recommendation. The recommendation is to note the contents of this report and to seek members' approval to grant permission for the erection of the community vintage tractor at the Planton in Draperstown, subject to the conclusion of satisfactory due diligence checks.
Okay, thanks for that, Sean. Councillor Corey.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you very much for the report. Sean, I'm very happy to propose, and I know Councillor Grugan will be very happy about this brilliant community initiative that she's been involved with now for a while, and it's working alongside local schools, the Main Shed, Workspace, Balance Green Community Forum, and other sports and community groups as part of the area's Bloom project, which aims to empower and encourage our young people to positively participate in community activities and to instill a sense of pride in their town and community. So we all know Balance Green loves the tractor, so can't wait to see it all done up and all its glory with all its flares and everything else. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Corey. Councillor Clark.
I'd be happy to second.
Going to item number 7 then. Social inclusion.
Thank you, Chair.
Executive draft investment strategy 2025 to 2030, and over to Claire.
This is just obviously to approve the response in terms of the consultation, and members will see the response there attached. And I suppose the main aim of the response is that this is something obviously council is already working on in terms of the community wealth building, and the executive is looking at this new area in terms of focusing on the whole social enterprise development and also on the whole employability area. So whilst we're doing a response to the consultation in terms of this, one of the things we're going to do is follow up and see can we build links in terms of how we can work together. Thank you, Chair.
Happy to propose, and I was just going to ask Claire, just with all that's gone on in the past week with the violence and that there, is there an opportunity to look at social cohesion and integration or anything as part of this as well?
Elements stronger than others and they're focusing on, and we have went back to say look, there is other areas that we think they could take on as well, so that's something that we can bring in.
Okay, proposed by Councillor Corey. Any other comments? Someone to second proposal? Councillor McLaren, thank you. Item number 8 then, development report, and it's over to Claire again.
Thanks again, Chair. This is just in terms of the recommendation to approve the community grants and then just to note the development update.
Okay. Councillor McLaren.
Thanks, Chair. Just happy to propose particularly on the community local festival grant for Brock School After Club. But I'd like to also come in under the social inclusion and Gorgonus. I've been engaging with officers on this over several weeks, and I think it's imperative that we move in this project ASAP and start to hit the ground running. The community of Killeisland can't wait no longer. They're frustrated at the fact that there's been no movement on this and they haven't seen any boots on the ground. Gorgonus Track is a vocal part of my town, and it has been for many years, and the community need and deserve a first-class facility. We need the play park there for children to play. We need to see an improved pitch for the footballers. We need to see the improvement works done on the track. And I want to see the promised project delivered for the people in my town. So I'd like to propose here tonight that we commence the works in a phased approach and start to deliver on the three main key areas of the project, which is the track, the pitch and the play park ASAP. And one final point, if I can have some detail on Musa when it will be open, because I want us to make our best efforts to try and coordinate so we can cause the least amount of disruption for those who be using the track and looking to use Musa. But now I appreciate there'll always be disruptions, and I don't want this to be used as anything to hold us back, because the people of the town want to see the work starting as soon as. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor McLaren. Ryan, you're looking in there?
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. Councillor McClernand's comments have come quite timely. We are in the process of organising a DEA meeting to bring the local members together to review the scheme at Gortgonis, where we are with the design team, and look at some of those critical elements. So we hope to have a date in the diary for that DEA meeting over the next number of weeks, and we'll get some information out about that. In relation to the Musa project is on site at the minute. We are working towards a completion date of November of this year, and hopefully all goes according to plan and it will be completed by November, but that's the current planned completion date for Musa. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thanks for that, Brian. And Councillor Monteith online.
Thanks, Chair. A couple of issues. I was going to raise one. Rand just answered the question. Councillor Kerr had asked me to get an update in relation to the DEA meeting, but that's okay. He's covered that. I would look at, on a similar vein. There's also talk about moving the next phase in Railway Park. So once again, I think even an online DEA meeting, just as we update on that, won't do any hurt. Also, communication to the public, I think, in relation to Railway Park is key too, because especially the good weather, there's, a few weeks back, there was a lot more people out using it and things like that, and people are still continually asking the question, will this ever get done, and what is actually supposed to be happening or not happening. We had quite a bit of disruption through a number of storms in the last couple of years, where there was a lot of trees were knocked down, they weren't replanted because of the contract coming, but some of these trees were knocked down 2 and 3 years ago now, and the public are rightly saying, we need information. So if we could get a wee DA meeting on Railway Park, but also a communication strategy, that we need to get out to the wider public that we are serious about this and we're going to do it, Chair. So if I could propose that. And also, in relation to the Hill of O'Neill, could I ask for an update, and if there's not one available now, one possibly for the next meeting or one for the council meeting. At considerable expense, we agreed to pay for consultation and consultants in relation to the issues around the former military mast and the Hill of O'Neill. Now, that's gone back now, I think it was passed last September, October. So it's just to get a wee update on where we're at with that, and when we can expect that, to come to some sort of conclusion. To my knowledge, I'm not sure if it has even started, because unless I've missed it, I don't think there's been any contact with consultants with elected members. So just give an update on that, Chair, and I appreciate if there's not an update available tonight, if it comes at a later date, even at council meeting.
Okay, thanks for that, Councillor Monteith. Ryan's looking in here.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. Yes, Councillor Monteith, there's been a lot of work going on in the background in relation to securing a suitable contractor to carry out the study in relation to the mast at the Hill of the O'Neill. We're at the final stages of the procurement process, and we are hopeful that will be concluded successfully, and we will have a contractor appointed over the next month or so. Once we've got a contractor appointed, then our first steps will be to agree the programme with them, which will include an element of engagement with elected members.
Okay, thank you for that, Ryan, and you'll follow up with the DA meeting.
Yes, thank you, Chair.
Okay, Councillor Quinn online as well.
Thank you, Chair. No, just to come in and second Nuala's proposal there, I think we all must have been getting grief from the public over the last couple of weeks in regards to Gorgonis, and I think that the public are very edgy because they're hearing things that are being built in other parts of the constituency, and one of the main comments to me over the last couple of weeks was, well, I hear there's not going to be a running track, I hear there's not going to be this, I hear there's not going to be that, and I don't know where these rumours are starting from, but it's just causing a lot of frustration for people, because we've been talking about this obviously for 11 years, and we still haven't seen any boots on the ground, and some of that has been out of our control, unfortunately. And then with the money from DFC, we keep going round and round about if we're going to get this money or not. If we don't get it, we're scaling back. What's that project going to look like? So I'm chatting to Anne-Marie and different ones just about the project, and I do think a phasing process is probably the best way of moving this project forward, because we deserve a fantastic facility in Island, and if phasing is the way that we can maybe secure the money down the line, so the project isn't being scaled back and we still are able to deliver what we have promised, I think that would be the best bet. But happy to move forward and looking forward to the DEA meeting. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay then, thank you, Councillor Quinn. And Councillor Malloy.
Thanks, Chair. I suppose I may as well throw my two piece with in as well. As regards to this COVID small settlement projects, particularly the one in the Moy. And Chair, I've been contacted, this is now ongoing for the last, I think it's 4 years in the making, so stall. And I believe now we're currently waiting on outside agencies to come back with answers on their recommendations. But Chair, I'm not circumnavigating the planning process, but we are dependent on these agencies come back with an answer, and I believe it's now time to move on. They've got ample time to come back with their findings or their consultations or their answers that they've been asked to give their opinions on. And I believe we've given them enough time, and this has happened in numerous different planning projects. It's time now, when they've had their time to give us an answer, to move on and make a decision.
Thank you.
That's only right for the community, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Malloy. I'm going to let Claire in here.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, you're right. There has been quite a number of delays. Now, the delays obviously at the start were based on obviously studies that had to be undertaken in relation to the whole rivers element, and then the next stage was obviously we had to do a full consultation, which moved the planning into a major planning application. It is at the last stages, as you say. We're just waiting on the final comments, and I suppose planners, because of the nature of the application, are keen to get those final comments, but we have been pushing the planners quite hard, and they have been back to the agencies. But in relation to moving forward, I would imagine they probably still want the comments, but we'll feed it back to planners and say the urgency of trying to move it forward.
Thank you.
Have enough, Councillor Malloy? Yeah.
Yep, thanks, Chair.
Okay, Councillor Corey.
No, I'm just thinking there after the conversation, and I know there's a couple of projects, across the DAs. Would it be worthwhile to have a capital projects DA meetings, or so people can be updated or briefed on where things are sitting at the minute?
Okay, Ryan.
Yeah, I think, Chair, there is a plan to engage with members around the wider capital programme that Anne-Marie is leading on. So I think that will you'll probably see stuff coming into your diaries over the next wee while in relation to that. So that'll be the opportunity to do that.
I had a proposer for the development report, need a seconder. Councillor Corey, thank you for that. Okay.
Can I just record the name of the place that's not too accessible is Glen Moore Walk, just as raised under Chair's business. And can that be... Thank you.
That's noted, Councillor Wharton, thank you. Item number 9, Community Asset Register, and Claire again.
Thank you, Chair. This is the community wealth building, one of the community wealth building initiatives that has been taken forward. Obviously, it's one of 5. Members will be aware that there has been quite a considerable amount of work undertaken across the 5 areas, and this is the outcome in relation to the community asset transfer element. So what we have here is a guide for members' consideration, and then we're moving towards, if members are happy, to undertake a pilot, and the pilot will be in relation to the 2 assets, Knocklochram and Draperstown. And then as part of that pilot, we hope to get learning in relation to the process and how it operates, how effective it is for both council and for community. And then the learning from that we will bring into a final document that we will be proposing to members to take forward in terms of community asset transfer. Not to go through the full document because you have it in front of you, but the main stages will be putting out, obviously we identify the asset, a surplus to requirement and one that can and should be put to the community asset transfer policy. Then we obviously will invite the expressions of interest. We will undertake then a business plan, and the business plan will be commensurate with the type of site that we're putting out and value, etc. of the site, and then we'll go through a process of both support and assessment and bring a recommendation to council. So the three recommendations there is to agree the process and the guide to in relation to the two pilots, Knocklochram and the Draperstown Courthouse. Agree the establishment of a task and finish work group with the nominees as detailed in the report, and then agree to the provision of a development fund. And this development fund is a £5,000 fund to help groups in relation to potentially a bit of support. Council officers will be there to help so far, but obviously as it is an assessment process, we'll not be able to get into the details, so they'll need a bit of independent advice, and that's to allow that support to happen. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Corey.
Thank you, Chair, and I'm happy to propose. I think this is an exciting opportunity to bring buildings, facilities back into use and public use at that, and I know these will be valuable community assets, and I know there's a lot of interest in the potential for the courthouse, so I think this is a good way forward, so thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Corey. And Councillor Ford.
Can I just second that proposal? Certainly a very worthwhile project in the villages, and we're looking forward in the village in the Knocklochram and Draperstown for these projects. They'll be very good for the public to be involved in, and I certainly would be 100% supporting them and helping if any issues that the council maybe can help with us. If there's any questions, then we certainly can come back and ask and get some support from you. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Ford. Proposed and seconded. Item number 10 then is our Economic Development Report, and Julianne's going to take this.
Thank you, members. Within the report, there's 3 points for decision tonight. The first one is in relation to Christmas. Early on talking about it, but it's very important for us to secure the various different elements of our media effort. So the proposal will be to build on our 2024 campaign and to procure the services of external service providers to develop a market collateral such as videography and photography, really the services that we can't do in-house, but also using our own in-house expertise to support the campaign for 2025. The second point then links to our campaign where we would like to, like similar years, offer our Christmas car parking, which will be for the first 3 hours for 10p in council-owned car parks for Dungannon and Magherafelt. And again, this will come out of our own budget within our economic development, tourism and strategic programmes. And finally, our third point is in relation to the Go Succeed programme. Within it, within the grants, this is where businesses, after they've completed 50% of their mentoring, can then go for eligibility to apply to a grant. Just with timings and so forth, we're currently, it's a closed call, and from that then, whenever it's finished, we would like to get the letters of offer out as soon as possible to those applicants, so it's for delegated authority to let that happen through our Chief Executive. Thank you, members.
Thank you for that, Julianne. Councillor Bell.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to commend the hard work that the officers have put in, and I'd like to propose that, please.
Thank you, Councillor Bell. Councillor Borden.
Thank you, Chair. Can I just check, is the Christmas light switch on in Dungannon and Cookstown, are they clashing on the one night? Do you know? I thought I seen something come through that, but I could be wrong, but I just want to check that. And the other thing is, do you see where it states here on page 88 about the hope is that the, I'm on the wrong page altogether, the Go Succeed, I do hope that there will be another round, because as sure as we have a call, as soon as it closes, there's always people who contact you immediately afterwards. And I'm wondering, going forward, is there anything else that we as a council, this seems to be really the only opportunity, isn't it, for businesses who want to either expand or start new businesses. The Go Succeed is really the only, isn't it, for support, financial and obviously for mentoring. There would be some that in the past have come back and said, you know, they have a business plan sitting ready on the shelf. And I think, I don't know whether this one, is this Go Succeed, is it where you're producing a business plan? Or is it mentoring, different form of mentoring? I just would like to find that out.
Okay, thanks for that, Councillor Worden.
Paul is actually Go Succeed, so I'm going to pass them our digits, but in terms of the Dungannon and the Cookstown events, I'll get that clarified from yourself, it's in our events team for that. And then going forward, if the second call, I don't know if there's always funding available through Go Succeed. We're certainly always keen to get a second call open where we can for that. But in terms of the business case and so forth, Paul, if I hand that over to you.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, under the Go Succeed, there's a number of elements for start-up businesses, a growth business, depending on what stage they're at. Any business owner should, one looking to set up or existing, should contact the Go Succeed helpline. They get a 1 hour diagnostic to identify what the business needs and requirements are. It may be a business plan or a business case. It may be some mentoring in finance or marketing or digital transformation. And through that mentoring, then they're signposted to potential grant funding through InvestNI, or they refer to InvestNI as a client company. Or if they complete, as Julianne mentioned, they complete 50% of their mentoring hours, they're eligible to apply for grant aid through this programme. We're hopeful. UK Shared Prosperity Fund, there's reduced budget allocation for grants in this financial year. It's reduced from £5 million to £2 million. But we're hopeful if there's potential underspend identified within the overall programme deeper into the financial year, that I'd be pretty confident there'll be a second call, probably around autumn time.
Okay, thank you, Paul and Julianne. And I think Ryan has the answer to the Christmas lights.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, the Cookstown Christmas lights switch on the 21st of November and Gannon's the 22nd.
Thanks for that, Ryan. And Councillor Monteith online.
Thank you, Chair. Two issues in relation to the Christmas stuff. I raise this every year in relation to the car parking. And particularly, I do believe Christmas would have been an opportunity to try the free car parking for 2 hours in Dungannon. This council has continually dodged the whole issue around parking and the issue between the three main towns. We have a pilot scheme going on in Magherafelt, and I think it's the back of the plane now, it's gone on that long, about the free parking and some of it. So like, I see no reason why, if we can do 2 hours free in a car park in Magherafelt, we can't do 2 hours free at Christmas in the other car parks. So I propose that the officers look at trialling the 2 hours free or 3 hours free, whatever can be done in the car parks right across the council area. But obviously I'm interested in the Dungannon DEA, and then with a view then to moving towards that being put across at all times a year, because we're continually told of the issues about parking, and it's a detriment and a deterrent for folk going to town centres about having to pay, and I think this would be a good gesture on a statement of intent by the council. The other thing I would like is an update on the fact that Christmas was mentioned here. Last year there was new Christmas decorations put up in Dungannon, and without consultation with the local Irish language groups who had been involved in ensuring that there was Irish language Christmas decorations erected for many years in Dungannon. The Irish language Christmas greetings were not replaced with new ones, and the old ones weren't put up. I think that was a mistake, and I don't think that it should have happened. There was talk about LED screens and things like that there, which didn't really go anywhere towards addressing the situation. So we've ample time now, so I think we need to get back to ensuring that Irish language Christmas greeting is re-erected at the bottom of Irish Street in Dungannon, Chair. And I so propose.
Okay, Ryan wants to come in here.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Chair, just to raise 2 points in relation to that. I know the report in front of you tonight in relation to from economic development is around the Christmas campaign and what is being planned around that. The actual responsibility for car parking off street sits with the Environment Committee, so we will pass that on to the officers in terms of bringing a report back to the Environment Committee, which is the same then for the town centre decorations, for want of a better term. So again, we will pass that on through to Anne-Marie for an update to come back to the Environment Committee on that.
Thanks, Ryan. Just in relation to the car parking, Councillor Monteith, I was at the Environment Committee there on Tuesday night, and it was raised about the same stuff about the pilot scheme, and in the report it says there is a paper coming very soon over the next couple of months in relation to that pilot scheme. In relation to the lights in Dungannon, I'm not familiar with them, but through our Regional Minority Language Working Group, we had proposed to have Irish recognition when it comes to the festive season, and I know that they put lasers in place in Magherafelt, Cookstown and Dungannon, and it was projecting Christmas greetings in Irish onto, I know it was the Barnavan and Cookstown, I think it might have been the Bridewell, Magherafelt, I'm not sure. And where was the other one, Claire? Was it Hello Neil? Hello Neil, I'm not sure. It was late in the day. I know Cookstown come sort of in the last week, but I'm not sure, maybe you didn't notice it, Councillor Monteith, or maybe it didn't happen over there, I'm not sure. But in relation to replacing, I know that sign you were talking about, it was there from the Legacy Dungannon Council, the Irish greeting, and that's something we'll follow up, but I know the lasers were definitely in place in Cookstown, and I assume they were in the other towns as well. Be happy enough to pass that on then to the Environment Committee. Okay.
Yes, Chair.
Thank you. And Economic Development Report was proposed. Need a seconder for it, please. Councillor McLaren. Thank you for that. On to matters now for information, and we have the minutes of the 15th of May. Any issues? Councilman Teeth. You're mute. You're mute.
Sorry, Chair. The D086/25. I'm conscious it's only a month, but I had asked, I wanted to keep it in the officers' minds. We'd asked them to take a look at the possible feasibilities or funding potential around the statue of Hugh O'Neill at the Hill O'Neill. So just wondering, had anything been done since, or when we could expect some sort of report?
Okay, Ryan. Claire.
Okay, no, there hasn't been anything done yet. We have been looking at relation to how we can build it in if we're doing something that, in relation to the options of the Hill of O'Neill and what we're doing there and opening up. But we haven't actually got into engagement yet in relation to actually looking for funding or so forth. But we will come back on it as part of the overall proposals as well. But we'll not delay it as part of that. We'll definitely start looking into that, investigating, and I'll link him and Mary on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Claire.
Thank you, Claire. Councillor McLaren.
Thank you, Chair. It's not an issue with the minutes, but I just wanted to put on record the success of the Kyle Summer Bash, and a big thank you to all those involved. It was again this year a great success, which was not put off by the rain, and I look forward to seeing next year and the Summer Bash getting bigger and bigger as each year goes on. So, and I'm glad that it's now finally included in the corporate events. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McLaren. And Councillor Quinn online.
Thank you, Chair. Well, I'll just echo Councillor McLaren's words there. Summer Bash was a great event. It's sad that the council couldn't bring the sunshine and let it rain, unfortunately, but as Councillor McLaren, it didn't dampen the spirits, and I know we took my daughter to it and she thoroughly enjoyed it. The issue I wanted to talk about, it's not in the minutes, and it's something I've raised with Claire during the week. During the sports awards there last month that we were handing out, I got contacted by a dance teacher who was disappointed that her students weren't awarded any money for going to the Dance World Cup. Now, I know this council registers dance as an art form, but she was very quick to point out the amount of training that these girls have put in, strength and conditioning, 4 nights a week. They almost put in more training than a lot of people who actually do sport would put in. And I know Claire came back with a very thorough email sort of stating that if we opened up to one dance group, would have to open it up to the lot, and we would be inundated and stuff like that. So I was just wondering, is there any way we could sort of look into particular forms of dance that could be sort of funded by the council, or at least being open through the sport? Because I know when we were all coming out of COVID, and that one of the last things to open was dance studios, because they were seen as sports, as a sport. And I'm just wondering, is there anything we could do in relation to that, or is it sort of opening up a can of worms? Thank you, Chair.
Can I just ask there, is that the working group still active?
Sorry, which working group?
That awarded, for the different grants and that?
So what we've got, sorry, Chair, I should have let you cut off. What we have at the minute, obviously, is the community development strategy, which is under review. And one of the things that we've expended all the grants this year, but we're reviewing the grants going forward and how we can fit in, other areas and other areas of development. Now, obviously, we're still working to the same budget that Council has given us in relation to our grants, which we've fully expended, as you know, and made the 5% this year. We're working to a new policy with regard to the grants in relation to how we can take the grants forward to make them more streamlined, to look at how we can maximise investments to groups, we can maximise investments to, what members have raised, different groups that are doing quite a lot of activity. Now, we can take on board to have a consideration in relation to opening it up further to other groups, but we would have to open it up based on it would impact on a budget, because we get, and I mean we do get, numerous queries across all dance groups for that one fund. So I suppose one of the things we can do is consider it, but we'd have to consider it in the light that we definitely, we know to date that we get an awful lot of requests, and how we would actually manage those requests.
Happy enough, Councillor Quinn, that we look at it going forward this year and see if we can get it fitted in somewhere, yeah?
No problem, Chair, thank you.
Okay then, and we're on to number 12 is the Environmental Health Service update. Councillor Gilden, you online? Councillor Gilden, you hear me?
Sorry, I just couldn't find the button to unmute. Just a small query. I know these figures are showing, both columns in the tables are showing the same figures. Is that just because we're in the first month and a half of the new year? Does that second table or column build as the year goes on?
Right.
Yes, Chair, they will evolve as the reports develop over the financial year.
Thank you.
Thanks for that, Ryan. We're on to item 13, Altmore Kappa Master Plan update. Councillor McLaren, you looking at it?
There's a comprehensive report there, and I know a lot of work has been done on this to date, and credit to Kappa Village Regeneration Group for the hard work and dedication on this for many years. I think we need to ensure, with all the work that has been done to date, that this project doesn't end up sitting on a shelf. I've met with the Kappa Village Regeneration Group, and there are questions that they want to have answered, and they're quite detailed, and rather than me go through them here tonight, I want it recorded that I will be forwarding on an email to yourselves to have those questions answered and those responses published in our next development committee pack for members. And one final comment, or I should say proposal, would the council be prepared to go back to the community with a public meeting to update them on the findings of the feasibility study? The Torn councillors have been updated, as have the Kappa Village Regeneration Group, but I think we need to go back to the community. It's only fair they are updated as they took part in the feasibility study. I'm sure they're just as curious and anxious to hear the findings of that. So, thank you.
Thanks for that, Councillor McLaren, and Councillor Monteith online.
Same issue, Chair. Been approached by a Kappa group, relatively sit on it, so they constantly raise the issue with me. So I'm happy to second Councillor McLaren there on the issue. I think it's only about right that the community is kept on board, and there are extensive queries that the group have, which they've raised forward. So again, it's important that they get answers to those. It's also most important that this council keeps a head of steam on this. I've raised it before in this committee. I would challenge anyone to identify a village as neglected as Chiapa has been over the last number of years by all the statutory agencies. It is in dire need of investment and help, and we need to make it a top priority. Sure, thank you.
Happy enough with that approach, Ryan?
Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Burton.
Similar vein, Chair, to the village of Caledon. They had worked with one of our officers, and it would be probably a couple of years now, and they had submitted what they thought was their village plan into council here. I think it was Celine that was out, Claire, working along with them. And I had contact from some of the people that just sort of asked where it's at. And you know the way Swan and Costa are leading on the village planning updates, and they were actually going out, you know, to almost like as if they were starting all over again, which sends out a bit of a negative message that if you've already been consulted. And I mean, on 2 years ago or 2.5 years ago, whenever the meetings was taking place and our staff were involved in it, you know, there was a really good number of people had turned out and were really engaged in it. So I've been asked the question, where is it? Where is it sitting now and what is happening? So I just would like maybe if we can get a wee update on that too, that would be good, and to ensure that it moves ahead. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Burton, thank you. Claire?
Yeah, that's the one the Princess Trust was involved in, or they were leading on it. Now, I know Celine was involved in it from a community planning perspective, and we also had Sarah involved from her heritage planning. And I know the village plan was finished, and what I can do is I can do a wee update to Connor and Lorraine and let them know that there's one there and recent, and that, you know, in terms of the follow-up on. But I suppose the concept was it's left for the villages, and then they drive it, and then they get the key people when and if the priorities come into place.
Said, I think they're sitting waiting, thinking who's taking the next step. So maybe that should be, you know, there should be maybe some chat with the community as well to try and move it forward. And obviously if there is some resources coming through this Swan and Costa, but you know, any meeting I've been at involving those future plans, you know, they keep saying at the minute there is no money, but they're hoping that something will come at some stage. So it's, you know, it's all the departments coming together, but there's no guarantee, as far as I can make out, that there is money available, you know, so.
So the suppose the CWSAN and the Costa have got money through DERA, but they've got so much for so many villages per year. So they're actually prioritising the villages as the villages come through. Now, obviously, at the minute with 50 village plans, but they're conscious that we maybe have to get them down and start pulling groups together. But the villages aren't keen to come together just yet. They are prioritising the Clogher Valley at the moment across the district because of the concept that is coming through in terms of the test and learn, the pilot. Now, there is no money identified for that test and learn. That's been led by DFC. Now, CWSN and Costa are the facilitators of the engagement there, and that what they're trying to do is get all the village plans up to speed first and foremost, and then identify an action plan where they're looking at all the village plans in terms of having one plan for Clogher. Now, the plan at the moment, from what I heard from Connor recently, is it's nearly there, but they want to go out and do a final engagement and consultation session with all the departments and key stakeholders, and that's in the planning. Once that's in place, that goes back to DFC, and then DFC look in terms of saying where there's any potential regeneration monies that can support some of the initiatives.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, Claire, thanks for that. Number 14, Communities in Place Departmental Service Plan 25-26. Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. 2.2 is the departmental services, the council structure 25-26, and it's way out of date. We have Head of Communications, Ursula Menzies, and we have Service Director of Planning, Chris Boomer. And neither of those two people are with us, unless they're coming back in some consultancy role. But I just wonder.
Very observant. Observant. Right.
Just to say, yes, Councillor Wilson, you're right. That's an error and it'll be changed.
Okay, thanks for that. And 15, Economic Development Report. Very happy enough. Councillor Gildernew.
Yeah, sorry, I've had my hand up a while there. John, just to come back on Francis's point, and what Cara was said about the test and learn. So CWSA and Costa have done village plan meetings in Cahir, in Ahir, in Auchencoy, in 5 Mile Town, in Castlecoffey, in Benburb, in Eglish, in Ballagally. They haven't done any in Caledon, and I don't see any in the calendar care for Caledon. They do seem to have been missed in it. Maybe something to follow up on.
Claire.
I assume Caledon was in that mix, but I'll check up with Connor and do we follow up that that's looked at. But I'll let him know that there is already plan active. So rather than doing this, just doing a wee touch base with the community, ensuring that it's still, everything's still as is, and then it can be linked in.
Thanks. iPad women, but I think there was a date told for Caledon.
Oh, Claire, you have it all in order then, so. That's us done then. Matters for decision. Someone proposed going to committee. Councillor Corey.